Welcome, everyone. Throughout this semester, we have investigated college student depression, acting like statistical detectives analyzing raw data. But solving the case is only half the battle. Now, we must present our evidence effectively before our audience loses interest. Today's presentation covers Chapter 11, How Researchers Translate Statistical Output into Meaningful Stories for Academic Conferences, Peer-Reviewed Journals, and Diverse Audiences. We will explore how to craft a clear narrative, tailor complex statistics to different listeners, follow the 3 golden rules of presenting numbers, and utilize effective visuals to answer our central research question. When presenting statistical research, our goal is not to give a tour of every Excel spreadsheet or SPSS button we clicked. Instead, we structure our presentation around a classic 3-part narrative arc: question, evidence, and answer. We begin by reminding the audience of our central research question, such as what factors explain depression in college students. Next, we present only the key statistical evidence necessary to answer that question. Finally, we provide the conclusion. By anchoring our numbers to a clear narrative story, we prevent cognitive overload and help our audience remember the key takeaways. Not everyone in an audience is a statistician. Even seasoned academics may not be familiar with your specific quantitative techniques. Therefore, you must adapt your explanation to fit who is sitting in the room. For example, if you find a negative correlation of negative 0.42 between self-esteem and depression, you can tell statisticians R equals negative 0.42. However, for a general student audience, you may translate this to students with higher self-esteem reported lower levels of depression, dropping the emphasis on the numbers. For the best presentation approach, combine both, state the conceptual finding clearly in plain language, followed immediately by the supporting statistical metric. Whenever you present a statistical result, strictly follow these 3 rules: show it, explain it, and tell them why it matters. First, show the numerical evidence so your claim is grounded in data. Second, immediately translate that statistic into ordinary language. Don't assume the audience will automatically parse the regression coefficient. Third, and most importantly, explain why it matters. Connect the result back to your initial research question or theoretical framework, such as stress process theory. Showing numbers without context leaves an audience asking, "So what?" Answering that "so what" is where true presentation value lies. Applying our 3 rules, specifically to the regression output from Table 11.1, demonstrates how seamlessly statistical data translates into speech. First, we state the precise statistical finding: stress is positively related to depression, with B equaling 0.48 with a p-value of less than 0.01. Second, we translate that into clear terms. Higher stress accompanies higher depression across all students. Third, we highlight theoretical importance. This finding is consistent with stress process theory. Finally, among the variables included in this model, stress has the largest standardized beta, suggesting that it has the strongest statistical relationship with depression. Applying our 3 rules, specifically to the regression output from Table 11.1, demonstrates how seamlessly statistical data translates into speech. First, we state the precise statistical finding: stress is positively related to depression, with B equaling 0.48 with a p-value of less than 0.01. Second, we translate that into clear terms. Higher stress accompanies higher depression across all students. Third, we highlight theoretical importance. This finding is consistent with stress process theory. Finally, among the variables included in this model, stress has the largest standardized beta, suggesting that it has the strongest statistical relationship with depression. Slide 7 illustrates the transition from raw statistical software output to a polished, presentation-ready table. Raw computer output often separates counts and percentages into cluttered grids. Table 11.2 demonstrates a clean example of the numbers from which it was drawn. It does this by combining raw frequencies and column percentages into single cells, for example, displaying the count of 70 and its corresponding percentage. It adds a descriptive title referencing independent and dependent variables, removes redundant labels, and places the test statistic neatly below. This allows the audience to immediately spot the core comparison. In this case, 58.3% of women reported depressive symptoms compared to 37.5% of men. The audience can immediately see that it is a statistically significant difference from the table. While tables provide exact figures and sample sizes, graphs excel when you want an audience to grasp a visual trend instantaneously. Figure 11.2 converts the cross-tabulation into a simple bar chart. The visual disparity between women and men is immediately striking. When choosing between tables and charts, ask yourself what is most vital. If precision and multivariable comparison matter most, choose a clean table. If the primary goal is illustrating a rapid contrast between two groups, a clean bar chart like this delivers maximum visual impact in seconds. If you've never presented at an academic conference, it goes something like this. Presentations are first grouped into thematic panels managed by a moderator. Usually, there are panels of 3 to 5 presenters. As the panel begins, the moderator introduces speakers and strictly enforces time limits, usually 10 to 20 minutes per person. Many presenters today speak from slides or notes rather than reading a paper word for word, although practices vary by discipline and conference. You should check expectations in advance. After all panelists deliver their talks, the moderator opens the floor for questions and answers, and people sometimes offer constructive critique. Usually, people are very positive. Finally, sessions conclude with networking, where scholars connect with each other through small talk, sometimes utilizing QR codes and exchanging email addresses as a way of maintaining contact with people who share similar research interests. Ethical research reporting requires sharing what scholar Valerie Shepard calls the good, the bad, and the ugly. Never conceal unexpected or non-significant results simply because they failed to match your initial hypotheses. If exercise showed no statistical relationship with depression in your sample, that zero finding is still valuable evidence for the scholarly community. Furthermore, proactively acknowledging limitations, like a modest sample size or cross-sectional design, does not diminish your work. It demonstrates methodological integrity, showing the audience exactly how much confidence to place in your conclusions and guiding future researchers. Before stepping up to the podium, review this 10-point checklist provided at the conclusion of Chapter 11. Ensure your presentation explicitly opens with your core research question and focuses strictly on your top 1 or 2 core findings. Check that your slides avoid cluttered software dumps, that your tables and graphs are large and easy to read, and that you haven't overclaimed causality from correlational data. Most importantly, practice your delivery aloud with a timer so you stay within your allotted minutes, leaving ample time for audience interaction during the questions and answers period. In conclusion, we wrap up Chapter 11 by returning to the central philosophy of this course. Behind every mean score, chi-square test, and regression coefficient are actual human beings. Data analysis allows us to simplify complex social experiences so that we can uncover meaningful patterns, but effective presentations require us to translate those statistical patterns back into human stories. When you present your evidence clearly, ethically, and purposefully, You empower others to understand the evidence and act upon it. The more you can turn numbers into real people with real thoughts, feelings, and lives, the more others will see the true value of your study and its deeper meaning for people everywhere.